How do we go from Soulja Boy playing our gacha game to this? You think Soulja Boy's still playing? Now, Wuthering Waves is still the best gacha game on the market. It's still my favorite gacha game, but I'm gonna have to roast the devs a little bit. For example, why drop a patch with literally no events? Wuthering Waves 3.6 is what happens when we as a player base gas our developers with so much copium that they start to believe that they can't do no wrong and start sniffing their own farts. At this point, I can't tell if Coral Games is designing a game for me or for themselves. And the reason I say this is because Wuthering Waves is an open world game. It's a gacha game, but it's still an open world game. When I boot up an open world game, what's the number one thing on my mind? Freedom. In my opinion, a good gacha game patch should have story, events, may or may not have a map expansion, fun side quests and side activities. This patch was nothing but a 5-hour story and a hologram boss fight. The sad thing is if you watch the live stream, Coral Games has mad content saved for this update. They're just deciding to pick and choose when we're allowed to play it. Nice try, Coral Games. Barring off all the other mini games for 2 days is not going to force me to play your story. Lahai Roy felt like they were trying to do things to impress their player base, while this region feels like they're putting a bunch of stuff they personally like or think is interesting and cool into the game, but ignoring what the player base like, thinking we're just gonna like this stuff because they made it. Like, how do we go from the cool Gundam style mech to these goofy steampunk inferior robots? Like in the last video I talked about how I didn't personally like fighting the mechs, but they're definitely cooler than like steampunk mechs.
Nope.
And to be fair, dry patches are nothing new to gacha games, and Coral Games does have a habit of front loading their patches, leaving the rest of the version to be kind of lackluster. But that doesn't excuse what they've been doing the last couple of patches, and we just gotta give constructive criticism where it's needed. I promise though, after this, my next couple of videos will be more positive. And that being said, I feel like it only needs a few adjustments to make this patch playable, because we all know the game is actually good. The management is just very off right now. So since I didn't feel like playing the story, I decided to play the hologram fight. And this weird boss lands between some middle ground between surprisingly frustrating and laughably easy at the same time. I honestly think it depends on what team you're using. My friend did it with the Cyberpunk team in one try, but they also have an S1 Mornier and an S2 Lucy. I almost beat this thing my first try, but I was fed up with the update. Booted up the game the next day and had massive skill issue. I ended up pulling out the Hiyuki team and even still had to retry a couple times because you just wouldn't let me get my rotation off. I ended up using Chisa and Soy Soy. I'm not proud of it. I have nothing to prove. Qing Zhao looks like an interesting character. If only I had the asteroid to pull her. My issue with this character is she's extremely non-free-to-play friendly, even by Wuthering Waves standard, because she doesn't really have any free-to-play alternative teams and she really wants a limited banner weapon. I heard she's good in all the end game with the right team, and it's debatable with Whimpering Waste. But this character is kind of weird because my thing is she's an aerial DPS, so a lot of people already have aerial DPS. Also, her best teammate is also Imith's best teammate. So if you have Imith on your account and you want this character, you're kind of benching either one of their best teams. So it's a kind of a weird state for this character to be in. I just don't think too many people need or want this character on their account. Even if she flies on the sword like Silver Surfer, I don't know if it's enough to sell her. As I'm speaking on this update, there's this top-down Path of Exile style event, which looks pretty cool. I tried it, and to be honest, I won't lie, it starts off kind of easy and you might feel like ignoring it, but once you get into it, it's actually pretty fun. They basically turn Wuwa into Path of Exile. I never actually played that game, but that's what I'm hearing people say it is. And at first, it doesn't really feel that different. It's just Wuthering Waves from a different perspective and you can't jump. But you kind of are able to mix and match different resonators, skills and attacks and ultimates. It's actually pretty cool. It's like build your own rover. I've heard people saying they want this to replace the weekly game mode. I think it'd be cool if they added like as a nice addition. If you go to the weekly game modes, they say something's coming soon. Wouldn't it be cool if they just added this as another game mode? Definitely a good idea. Definitely the standout part of the patch so far. It just sucks that the vibe is so low right now that you might feel like skipping it or playing it at a later date. But I'll tell you, it is pretty fun when you're actually locked in and feel like playing Wuthering Waves. I guess since I'm doing a first impressions review, I have to actually play the story. So I'm going to take a map, I'm going to lock in, and I'm going to give you my first impressions after I played a bit of the story. The quest is actually pretty good. Okay, disclaimer, I haven't done the whole thing, but from what I've done so far, I actually think it's pretty decent, better than 3.5. The story starts off as we get a text from Yang Yang, acting like our fake girlfriend, telling us that Soy Soy is leaving for Mangjiao City. We meet up with the two sisters and discuss the plans for dealing with the main two issues. The main villain from the last arc, I honestly forgot his name, and what the hell is going on with Shin, which the Shin part she leaves Rover to deal with. Meanwhile, we get to see a conversation between Shin and Qing Jiao. Shin basically asks her to watch over the lands while she's gone, or in her place, and naturally Qing Jiao is wondering what's going on with Shin. We're all wondering what's going on with Shin. So fate has it that Rover and Qing Jiao end up crossing paths and working together to figure out how to save Shin. And honestly, I want to get this video out, so I plan to do a full story breakdown later. Maybe I did Wuthering Waves 3.6 story quest, so you didn't have to, because I know a lot of people are dragging their feet with this quest. But right off the bat, I'm more interested in the conflict. It feels basically like a better version of 3.5 that suffers from the same issues, just not as bad. The pacing is still slow. The choreography is still goated. I love the choreography in this game. And I can just tell this is going to be a slow burn story, but ultimately we'll see how they land the ending, which is the most important part. Overall, from what I've played, the plot seems more focused. There's less emphasis on random NPCs that I don't care about, and I'm already more engaged with the plot. It's just the slow pacing and the slow plot buildup is an acquired taste, something you're going to have to get used to if you want to enjoy the story. Can imagine a lot of people not paying attention or skipping, but if you do, if you're already invested, I think you'll be entertained. Just make sure you take breaks between the 5 hours. That's my overall verdict on the patch. Probably one of the driest patches in Wuthering Waves history, next to the dark days of 2.5 to 2.7. If you're a new player, don't worry, the game ain't always this dry, and this is the perfect time to catch up on some errands, play other games, or God forbid, go touch some grass. Personally, I tried some other gacha games, NTE, I'm kind of over it. I tried some PvP games, which was a mistake. I logged into the ZZ anniversary to get my free Jane Doe, and I logged out. Currently, I'm in the middle of playing Grand Theft Fantasy and Power World, and low-key, I want to make some videos about this because these games are low-key changing my life. I'm starting to slowly realize there's more out there than gacha games, and maybe I'll make some videos explaining that to y'all, but for now, this is my opinion of 3.6. It's so dry that I'm thinking of playing other games in general. But how are you guys doing? What have you guys been doing since there's nothing to do in Wuthering Waves? Let me know. Peace.